The Salvation Army's warming center in Watertown was consistently full throughout this past winter. Captain Dominic Nichols says the center, open overnight from November to April, reached maximum capacity of 20 people pretty much every night. Sometimes it was full and people had to be housed elsewhere. Nichols says last year the center saw 13 to 16 people every night, calling this a big success.
We were able to still continue with our shower routine, our laundry routine. So if they needed any help with, those essential things, we were able to give that to them.
The warming center opened for the first time in December of 2022 after a major snowstorm hit and homeless people were staying in a makeshift shelter on Main Avenue.